Picture this. It's Saturday morning, you're in your kitchen spreading peanut butter on toast and grabbing a coffee before heading out to the grocery store. That jar looks familiar, but not all peanut butters are just peanuts and salt. Some have added sugar, emulsifiers, and oils that change what you're really buying, and can make it a less clean choice than you think. In this video, I'll show you 10 peanut butter packs that many shoppers pick up, but are worth avoiding because of added sugar oils or stabilizers, and 3 better quick picks that keep things simple and ingredient list short. You'll know which labels to skip, and which to consider next time you shop. Smash subscribe for clearer grocery guidance in Canada, and drop a comment with your favorite peanut butter brand so others can see what you like. Stick till the end because I'll show you the fastest way to spot a good peanut butter in 10 seconds, and the 3 safest buying rules, so you never get fooled again. Brand 10. Skippy Creamy Peanut Butter. This is the jar that feels like the safe default because it is everywhere in Canada. It spreads perfectly smooth and it never seems to separate. That smooth texture is the clue. Skippy Creamy is not just peanuts and salt. The ingredient list includes sugar and hydrogenated vegetable oil to prevent separation, so the jar is built to stay uniform on purpose. That usually means more processing than a jar that naturally separates. Many dietitians say the fastest upgrade is to choose peanut butter with the simplest ingredient list. They also explain that oil separation can be normal in less processed peanut butter. So, when a label brags that it prevents separation, it is quietly telling you it uses stabilizers to do it. There is also the taste shift. Adding sugar can make peanut butter feel more snacky and moreish. It may not taste like dessert, but it can push a daily staple toward a sweetened spread pattern. That is how a simple toast habit can turn into extra spoonfuls without noticing. For Canada shoppers, there is one more label meaning to remember. Health Canada took action to eliminate partially hydrogenated oils, the main source of industrial trans fat, because trans fat raises LDL bad cholesterol. Skippy does not say partially hydrogenated oil on this label. But seeing hydrogenated oils and a long ingredient line is still a strong signal. This is an engineered jar. That is your cue to compare it with the jars beside it that list just peanuts, or peanuts and salt. Walk away with the simplest jar, and accept that a little separation is normal. Brand 9. Jif Creamy Peanut Butter. Accepting a little separation as normal makes the next one easier to spot. This jar that feels fluffy and easy to scoop, almost like it was built to spread itself. That texture is not an accident. The ingredient list includes mono and diglycerides, which are food additives used as emulsifiers. In plain English, emulsifiers help keep oil and solids mixed, improve texture, and keep the product more stable over time. That matters because peanut butter is supposed to be simple. When a jar needs emulsifiers, it usually means the recipe is designed for a very specific mouthfeel. Smooth, airy, no grit, no natural oil layer, no stirring. That sounds nice, but it also means you are paying for extra processing to make it feel more snackable and consistent every single time. A jar that is always perfectly spreadable can be easier to use more often, and that can quietly turn peanut butter from a basic ingredient into an automatic habit on toast, bananas, rotis, and late-night spoonfuls. Jif Creamy also includes fully hydrogenated vegetable oils, and the Canadian retail ingredient list commonly shows extra fats and sweeteners alongside the peanuts. None of this means the jar is evil. It simply means it is not the clean, simple peanut butter most shoppers think they are buying when they see a classic peanut label. Dietitians keep repeating the easiest upgrade is to choose peanut butter with the shortest ingredient list, ideally just peanuts or peanuts and salt. So when the label shows mono and diglycerides, treat it like a processing flag, and compare it to a simpler jar right beside it. Put back the engineered texture, and grab the jar that expects a little natural separation instead. Brand 8 Kraft Smooth Peanut Butter. Grabbing the simplest jar becomes a game changer because the next trap looks like a normal family staple too. This feels classic and familiar in Canada, but the ingredient list shows it is not built like a simple peanut jar. Kraft Smooth lists select roasted peanuts, and then it adds soybean oil and sugars that include corn maltodextrin plus sugar. That one word, maltodextrin, is the big tell here. Maltodextrin is commonly used in processed foods as a thickener or filler to bulk things up and change how they feel in your mouth. So, instead of the jar being mostly peanuts plus maybe salt, It is engineered to stay smooth and consistent with extra building blocks. This matters in everyday life because peanut butter is usually a repeat food: toast in the morning, a sandwich at lunch. When a jar contains both added oils and added sugars, the taste can feel more boosted, and the texture can feel more spreadable, which can make it easier to use more without noticing. It does not mean it is dangerous. It just means it is farther from the simple version most people think they are buying. Dietitians keep repeating the same shortcut: choose peanut butter with the simplest ingredients. Ideally just peanuts, or peanuts and salt. They also explain that a little separation can be a normal sign of less processing. So when the label includes maltodextrin and a long list of add-ins, treat that as a processed spread signal. In the aisle, if you see corn maltodextrin in peanut butter, put it back and pick a jar that says peanuts, or peanuts and salt. Brand 7, Great Value Smooth Peanut Butter. Putting back a jar when you spot corn maltodextrin is a solid move. The next shelf trap is the budget jar that feels like the smart choice because it is big and cheap. On the label, this one is a clear example of a peanut butter that is built to stay stable. The ingredients list includes modified palm oil. That matters because palm oil is often added to nut butters as a stabilizer to stop the natural oil from separating. So the jar behaves like a perfect smooth spread instead of a simple peanut jar that can separate and need a stir. The everyday body angle is about the kind of fat you are adding again and again. Palm oil is known for being higher in saturated fat than many liquid plant oils. And when saturated fat is higher in the diet, it can raise LDL bad cholesterol compared to oils that are lower in saturated fat. That does not mean one sandwich breaks you. It just means this jar is not neutral if peanut butter is a daily habit in your home. Great Value Smooth also lists icing sugar, but the bigger tell is still the modified palm oil, because it signals the product is engineered for texture and shelf stability. When you buy peanut butter for a simple snack, that extra engineering is usually not what you think you are paying for. Dietitians often repeat the easiest shortcut is choosing peanut butter, that is, just peanuts, or peanuts and salt. So when modified palm oil shows up, treat it as the reason to compare and upgrade. Walk one step to the right, and choose the jar that expects separation and needs a quick stir. Brand 6, No Name Smooth Light Peanut Butter. Choosing a jar that can separate a little keeps things simple. In this product, the front word light looks like an easy win. The back label is where the trap lives. On Canadian listings, the ingredients include fresh roasted peanuts, sugars like corn syrup solids, modified palm oil, and salt. That is a big shift from the jars that are just peanuts, or peanuts and salt. Corn syrup solids are a concentrated sweetener-style ingredient. Modified palm oil is there to keep the jar smooth and stable instead of letting natural oils separate. The unique problem here is the light framing. In Canada, light is a regulated nutrient content claim. It generally means at least 25% less calories, or 25% less fat compared to a similar regular product. That does not automatically mean fewer add-ins. A product can be lighter in one metric and still use extra ingredients to keep taste and texture strong. Dietitians also point out that reduced fat peanut butters are not always healthier. When fat is reduced, brands often add sugar or fillers to make it taste and feel right, so the jar can end up smoother and sweeter, which makes it easier to use more often without noticing. It is not fear. It is just a labeling shortcut that can push you away from the simplest option. Treat the word light as a cue to flip the jar. If you see corn syrup solids or modified palm oil, slide to a jar that says peanuts or peanuts and salt and move on. Brand 5, Maranatha No Stir Creamy Peanut Butter. Sliding to a jar that says peanuts or peanuts and salt feels simple. Then a premium-looking jar tries to pull you back with one promise. The words organic and no stir on the label can sound like a cleaner choice. But this is the biggest halo trap on the shelf. The ingredient list includes dry roasted peanuts plus palm oil and evaporated cane sugar and sea salt. So it is not a pure peanut jar. It is a formulated spread built to stay smooth and never separate. That is what no stir often means in real life. Here is the unique downside. The word organic tells you about how ingredients were grown. It does not automatically mean the jar has fewer add-ins or less sugar. So shoppers can pay more and still get a peanut butter that is sweetened and stabilized. The everyday impact is simple. Added cane sugar makes the flavor feel more snacky and easy to overuse. Added palm oil makes the texture feel richer and more spreadable. That combo can turn peanut butter from a basic protein-fat staple into a dessert-like habit on toast and fruit. It does not mean disaster. It just means the jar behaves more like a treat spread than a simple peanut food. Dietitians keep repeating the same shortcut for a reason. The best quick pick is usually the jar with the shortest ingredient list and a little natural separation. So when you see no stir and evaporated cane sugar, treat the front label as marketing and trust the ingredients. Put it back and reach for the jar that reads peanuts or peanuts and salt and keep walking. Brand 4. Reese Smooth Traditional Peanut Butter Spread. Walking past the jars that say peanuts or peanuts and salt keeps you moving in the right direction. In this brand, the word spread is the first clue that this is not the same category as a simple peanut butter jar. The ingredient list shows why. It includes roasted peanuts, but it also includes sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oil, monoglycerides, molasses, and the most unusual one for peanut butter, cornstarch. Cornstarch is widely used in foods as a thickening agent to change texture and help a product feel smoother and more stable. So instead of peanut butter being mostly peanuts, this jar is built like a formulated spread that can feel extra creamy and uniform. That is the unique downside here. When a product needs starch to shape the texture, it is a sign the jar is being engineered to behave a certain way on bread and crackers. It can spread faster, feel softer, and taste more like a sweet treat than a peanut staple. That does not mean it is dangerous. It just means the jar is easier to overuse, because it feels less like a dense nut food and more like a dessert-style spread. There is also a naming gap many shoppers never notice. In the US, peanut butter has a formal standard of identity that describes what peanut butter is allowed to be. When brands add more extras, products are often positioned and sold as spreads instead of plain peanut butter. So, the word spread is not decoration. It is a hint that the formula may include more add-ins than you expect. In the aisle, if the label says peanut butter spread and you spot cornstarch, put it back and choose a jar that is just peanuts or peanuts and salt. Brand 3. Reese's Pourable Peanut Butter. Sticking to jars that look like real peanut butter makes the next one stand out fast. The pourable format for this brand is the first tell because peanut butter normally does not pour. The ingredient list shows why it behaves like a sauce. It includes peanuts and peanut oil and sugar, and it also includes TBHQ preservative. In Canada, TBHQ is an accepted way to write tertiary butyl hydroquinone on an ingredients list, so it is meant to be recognized as a food additive name. Here is the unique downside. TBHQ is used as an antioxidant in fatty foods, basically to slow down oxidation so oils stay fresh longer and do not go off as quickly. That does not mean it is automatically unsafe. It does mean this product is built to be highly shelf-stable and to behave like a processed topping rather than a simple peanut food. The everyday impact is mostly about how the product gets used. A jar that pours and tastes sweet is easy to drizzle on ice cream, pancakes, and snacks without thinking. That can quietly move peanut butter from a basic pantry staple into a dessert-style add-on that shows up more often. The body side of that is simple. More frequent sweet drizzles can mean more extra calories in the week, even when meals feel the same. This is why the ingredient list matters more than the brand name. When peanut butter needs an antioxidant preservative and is engineered to pour, it is no longer the simplest option on the shelf. Put it back and choose the jar that is just peanuts or peanuts and salt, even if it needs a quick stir. Brand 2. Old-style peanut butter portions. Putting back the pourable jar and choosing a simple peanut butter is a solid move. These are the tiny packets that show up in lunchboxes, hotel breakfast trays, office pantries, and quick snack drawers. They feel harmless because each pack looks small and controlled. The real issue is what the packets are designed to do. Make peanut butter feel like a condiment, always ready, always effortless, no stirring, no mess, no thought. Now flip to the ingredients on Canadian listings. It is not just peanuts and salt. The list includes peanuts, then sugar, then hydrogenated vegetable oil, with multiple oils named like rapeseed, cottonseed, and soybean, plus palm oil, soybean oil, and modified palm oil, and then salt. That is a big stack of added fats just to keep the texture perfect in a packet. And in Canada, ingredients are listed by weight, from most to least. So, when sugar and multiple oils show up right after peanuts, it tells you these extras are a real part of the recipe, not a tiny trace. Here is the everyday impact in plain terms. Portion packs remove friction. No jar, no spoon, no stirring, no cleanup. That convenience can change how often peanut butter shows up, because it becomes an automatic add-on to toast, crackers, fruit, and even straight from the pack. Research shows packaging can influence portion decisions and eating behavior, even when people do not plan to eat more. So, this is not just about the ingredients, it is about how the format can turn a pantry staple into a frequent snack trigger. In the aisle, skip the portion packs and pick a jar that reads peanuts, or peanuts and salt, even if it needs a quick stir. Brand 1, Smucker's Goober, strawberry peanut butter and jelly stripes. Choosing a jar that says peanuts or peanuts and salt is the clean reset. This is what happens when the shelf tries to turn that reset into a treat. Smucker's Goober Strawberry looks fun and harmless because it is two classics in one jar. Peanut butter plus jelly in stripes. No thinking required. The ingredient list is the real giveaway. It starts with peanuts and strawberry juice. Then it stacks high fructose corn syrup, and dextrose. That is 3 sweeteners before you even reach the small add-ins. It also includes potassium sorbate preservative and acidity helpers like citric acid and sodium citrate. This is not a simple peanut food anymore. It is a highly engineered sweet spread that happens to include peanuts. The everyday impact is about how it changes your routine. Because it is already mixed and striped, it is easier to spread thick and fast. It turns a normal sandwich into something that tastes closer to a dessert. That can make it easier to reach for it more often. Not because you are weak, because the product is designed to be more rewarding than plain peanut butter. Health Canada explains the ingredients list helps you identify sources of sugars. So when multiple syrups show up early in the list, treat it like a warning light. Put this one back and choose a jar that reads peanuts or peanuts and salt, and add your own fruit at home if you want sweetness. The pattern behind the brands might seem boring but powerful. Most of them sell perfectly smooth texture and no stir convenience, or they hide behind words like light and spread. Then the ingredients quietly add sweeteners, extra oils, or stabilizers to keep that texture consistent. The safer path is usually the jar with the shortest ingredients list, even if it needs a stir. Now let's finish with the safer picks you can grab fast in Canada. Safer pick 1, Kraft Only Peanuts All Natural. Kraft Only Peanuts All Natural is the easiest safer pick when you still want a familiar Canadian brand. The front looks simple and the back matches it. The ingredient list is just roasted peanuts, so there is less decoding and fewer surprises on repeat buys. That matters in everyday life, because peanut butter is a habit food. Toast, breakfast sandwiches, fruit snacks, school lunches. In Canada, the ingredients list is written from most to least by weight. So when the only ingredient is peanuts, the jar is telling you what you are actually paying for. The flavor stays nutty, not candy sweet, and the texture feels like real ground nuts. A little oil separation can happen, and that is normal for simpler peanut butter. Give it one quick stir, and you are back to a clean spread that works for toast, smoothies, sauces, and snack plates. If a label tries to sell no stir or super smooth forever, that is when extra oils or stabilizers often show up. Need salt? Add a pinch yourself instead of buying additives today. This jar keeps the decision fast. Check the ingredients. See roasted peanuts. Put it in the cart and move on. Safer pick 2, Adams 100% Natural Creamy. Adams 100% Natural Creamy is the safer pick when the goal is a jar that behaves like real peanut butter. The brand says the only ingredients are fresh roasted peanuts and a dash of salt. It also says no added sugar and no preservatives. That makes the label quick to trust when peanut butter shows up in your week again and again. Expect a little oil separation on top. That separation is often a sign of minimal processing because there are no stabilizers holding everything together. Stir once and it turns back into a thick, nutty spread that works for toast, fruit crackers, smoothies, and sauces. This is the kind of jar that makes it easier to keep peanut butter as a simple protein-fat staple instead of a sweet treat. If extra sweetness is the goal, add a drizzle yourself at home rather than buying it pre-mixed into the jar. That way, the base stays clean and predictable, and the flavor stays in your control. Keep it chilled after stirring if you prefer thicker texture later. In the aisle, the decision stays fast. Look for peanuts first. If the ingredient list stays short, the jar usually stays honest. Safer pick 3 PC Blue Menu Just Peanuts. PC Blue Menu Just Peanuts is the safer pick when the goal is a clean store brand option in Canada. The listing describes it as made with dry roasted peanuts with no sugar and no salt added. That means the taste is peanut forward and the label stays simple to verify. It also helps when shopping for kids' lunches, because flavor stays neutral and flexible. This is useful when peanut butter is doing a job, building a sandwich that is not dessert, adding a spoon to oatmeal, blending into a smoothie, making a quick satay-style sauce. With a single ingredient base, it is easier to control sweetness and salt outside the jar. Canada also requires ingredients to be listed from most to least by weight, so a one-line list like dry roasted peanuts makes the decision fast. No decoding syrups, no stabilizers hiding under long names, no extra oils added to force a perfect texture. If the jar feels thicker or needs a stir, that is normal for peanut butter that is closer to the nut itself. Pick it when the plan is simple. Peanuts on the label, peanut taste in the mouth, less second-guessing at checkout. Here are the 10-second buying rules to remember while buying peanut butter. Look for peanuts or peanuts and salt in the ingredients, then stop. If it says no stir, check for palm oil or hydrogenated oils right away. Watch for the word spread or light, then flip the jar, because those often come with extra add-ins. Compare nutrition facts using the same serving amount, so sugar and sodium are not hiding behind different serving sizes. That is the whole video. If this helped, subscribe for more educational supermarket product breakdowns and drop a comment with what you want investigated next. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay protected, and spend smarter.